Retroactive continuity, or retcon for short, is defined as the alteration of previously established facts in a fictional work. One of the oldest instances of retconning was when Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, author and mustache aficionado, killed off his most beloved character Sherlock Holmes by plunging him to his death over the Reichenbach Falls with his arch-nemesis Professor Moriarty. The public outcry even back then was massive. Think Mass Effect 3 ending bad. People were so angry with the death, Doyle, who had grown bored and angry with his own creation, was eventually compelled to bring him back to life in a subsequent story, where the details were that Holmes merely faked his own death. I gotta admit, I love the idea of old-timey fan outrage. I mean, how were things like that done back in a time before the internet, message boards, and forums? Do you think people just got out in the street and yelled, maybe with a bell, or did they get pissy by a carrier pigeon? Nowadays, when we hear about retconning, it's usually in regard to comic books. As a matter of fact, the first use of the word retroactive continuity as referring to altering the history within a fictional work was actually All-Star Squadron number 18, released February 1983 from DC Comics. DC recently earned both praise and hate when they decided to retcon their entire universe in a giant reboot called The New 52. Marvel, of course, does this as well. One of their most famous changes was the events of One More Day, wherein Peter Parker made a deal with Mephisto, the Marvel equivalent of the Devil, to put back a bunch of things that once went wrong. Comic retconning has even made its way into comic book movies. Remember when we thought we knew everything about Uncle Ben's death, only for them to go back and change stuff that didn't need changing in the third one? Yeah, just one of the many sins Spider-Man 3 will have to pay for in movie hell. Now, that's not to say retcons always have to be bad or controversial. Sometimes they can add a lot of complexity to an already great story. In the Futurama episode The Why of Fry, we see the original accident causing Fry to be frozen and sent into the year 3000 was actually intentionally caused by Nibbler of the Nimblonians so that he could help save the universe from giant space brains. And yeah, I know the creators of Futurama later came back and said that this was always the plan, but it helps serve my point as a good example, so moving on. And you know what, while we're on the subject of Matt Groening creations, you ever notice how on The Simpsons the timeline of events keeps getting retconned, from Homer and Marge attending high school in the late 1970s, getting married 3 or 4 years later, graduating from high school after Marge became pregnant with Bart, Bart being born in 1980, Lisa being born in 1983, Maggie being born in 1990, only to have an episode like that 90s show come along and completely throw things off, where we see them attending college in the 90s. Heck, in that episode, Homer starts a grunge band, even though in another episode he made it quite clear that he didn't understand music past a certain point. Now, sometimes when writers try to give context to retconning, it can have some really hilarious results. Perhaps you heard about the time an angry Superboy Prime punched the walls of reality so hard that one of the former Robins, Jason Todd, came back to life, and Green Lantern Hal Jordan didn't drive drunk that one time anymore. Yeah, comics are weird like this, go figure. Or what about the mysterious case of the Lady Ninja Turtle, Venus, who was retconned into the show The Next Mutation, only to be taken out and never mentioned or seen again? Then there's the popular soap opera Dallas, that made massive waves when it was revealed that an entire season was nothing but a dream, hence retconning all past events. Recently, retconning has come up again in conversation, as the popular internet personality Doug Walker has decided to come out of self-imposed retirement to review movies again after writing off his character of the Nostalgia Critic during the events of the ThatGuyWithTheGlasses.com movie To Boldly Flee. Now, I've been a fan of the critic for a long time. To be completely honest, after Movie Bob, I would say he was my biggest inspiration to make videos like these, but I can't help but feel the whole return is really unnecessary. Walker was able to give his creation a proper send-off, something few people get the chance to do. It's a perfect example of how retconning can do away with a lot of the original impact if the creator can simply just go in and pull a Hail Mary play around established events. And this is true for just about everything. I suppose the question I'm trying to ask is, at what point do retcons become troublesome or even angering to some fans? I guess I can't help but draw comparisons to Mr. Walker and Arthur Conan Doyle, perhaps even going as far as to say that his Review Must Go On video is kind of his own personal Reichenbach Falls. Now, I've yet to watch his new work. For all I know, it turned out like the new Beavis and Butthead, having never missed a beat. The point that I'm trying to get across, if I'm trying to get any point at all across, is that retroactive continuity is a powerful tool, one that must be respected and not abused. Now, if you excuse me, I plan to retcon this entire video to where I was recording it while wearing a funny hat. There'll be no way for you to tell, but I'll know, and that will make all the difference. Thanks for watching.